Hey drifters, are you ready to ride?
What do you mean ride? Today we're gonna cook.
Summer haze drifting away. Here I am, 7 years more, walking the same road as before, wondering when will the days clear. Summer haze.
Welcome back, fellow riders, and thank you so much for joining us today for the very first episode of Rockin' Brunch.
Woohoo!
Yeah, Rockin' Brunch is a new series of videos that we will be doing here on the Drifting Riders channel. Now, what is Rockin' Brunch all about? As you may have guessed, there's some rock and roll and there's some brunch. So, for this very first episode of Rockin' Brunch, what will we be doing and talking about and listening to exactly? Well, it just so turns out that we have a new song that just released last Friday, Summer Haze. Oh yeah, baby, we're floating away. Hopefully many of you have heard Summer Haze by now, but if not, do not worry, because on today's episode of Rockin' Brunch, you will be hearing clips of Summer Haze throughout the video. Now, for the second part of this fun new adventure here on the channel, what will we be cooking exactly? Well,
Huevos Rancheros!
Huevos Rancheros. It is a classic that we love here in the Drifting Riders family. As they would say in the rock and roll world, we're gonna do a little riff on this favorite dish of ours. Let's go, riders.
Woohoo!
We just want to give you a quick overview of the exact ingredients that we will be using. Ransu, would you like to go ahead and get us started?
Sure. So first of all, we will need some onions. We have several types, tomatoes, cilantro, and we're also going to be using several type of peppers.
Thank you, Ransu. Yes, and in addition to that, we'll have a few other extra special ingredients that we'll be using to spice things up a little bit. First off, we'll be adding some chorizo, which is not so typical always in Huevos Rancheros, but it gives it an extra spice, an extra flavor that we like a lot. In addition, for our extra spicy seasoning, we'll be using some chili chipotles, something I love very, very much. In addition to that, we'll be adding some spices that make the whole dish zest itself up a little bit. We have pepper, oregano, Comino, Pimiento chipotle. Of course, we'll be using salt because what does food taste like without salt? Absolutely nothing. And to top off the spices, just a little bit of regular pimienton, as it would be called here in Spain. So, in addition to that, we'll be incorporating a few other extra ingredients as well. On the side, we'll be doing some black beans, corn, and we'll be adding the zest of the lime with a little lime juice. Aranzu will be cooking for us her very, very special corn tortillas, which she is an absolute master of. And of course, what would Huevos Rancheros be without huevos? When that's all done, if you like, you can top this with a variety of different things. I think a very typical thing that's used is queso fresco. We don't have any of that here today. However, we do have some creme fraiche. So don't worry, if you didn't catch all that, we'll make sure we'll put the ingredients in the description below. All right, let's get started with the cooking, riders.
We're gonna start off and we're gonna get the vegetables cut up real nice today. First off, I'm starting here with the red onion. Peeling red onion and white onion is not my favorite thing to do in the world, but I will get there eventually. I do promise you that. Meanwhile, Ransu is working on the red pepper. Now, you have options as the way you want to do this, fellow riders. If you like something in the consistency closer to a sofrito where the flavors are gonna almost melt together, you can dice the vegetables up really small and that'll give you more of a smoother consistency when you get to the final steps of cooking it. Today, we're gonna do it a little bit differently. We're gonna leave it a little bit chunkier, and that gives you just a little bit more texture when you mix all the final flavors together. Don't forget also, fellow riders, when you're cutting the red pepper and the green pepper as well, make sure you get those seeds out of there. You do not need the seeds. I am still working on wrangling down this red onion. I'm getting very close to finally being able to start cutting it. In the meantime, Aransu, she is a machine. She is getting through that red pepper real nice. She is excellent at what she does in the kitchen. And here I think you can see, fellow riders, the type of consistencies we are going for with the onions and the peppers. Here we will be cutting the white onion and the green pepper as well. Dice, 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 slice, slice, slice. We are cooking here in the kitchen, fellow riders. Here we have our white onion and our red onion and our red pepper and our green pepper. I think that the more colors you combine of different types of vegetables in the kitchen, the more kind of flavors you open yourself up to as well. It just makes a difference. I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video, but I am also including a little bit of garlic. do not worry if you make this without the garlic, it will be okay. It will still be delicious. Today I'm using 3 cloves, but really you can use as many or as few as you like. Now, as I go ahead and I keep working on that garlic, fellow riders, Ransu's gonna be working on the chili peppers. Something very, very important to remember with chili peppers is they can be very, very spicy. If you like it very spicy, go ahead, you can leave the seeds in. If on the other hand, you wanna try to scale back some of that heat, you can take the seeds out and that will help reduce it as well. Of course, naturally, if you don't like your recipes very spicy, you have the option of leaving the chili peppers out altogether. Now, as I am huffing and puffing and get ready to blow this house down, Ransu is starting to work on the tomatoes. The tomatoes are a very fresh part of this dish. They add a lot of juiciness to it. I am actually gonna add in some cherry tomatoes. You do not have to do this. We had them on hand, so we thought, hey, why not? More vegetables, more flavor. That's our motto here in Drifting Riders. Actually, technically, I think that our motto is ride with us. But you know, why not have 2? Now, as I finish up the cherry tomatoes, Ransu is gonna go ahead and start with the cilantro. If you do not tolerate cilantro well, you can just leave it out. Now, as you can see, fellow riders, Ransu has that cilantro diced up very nicely. And let's move over to Ransu's specialty, the tortillas.
Okay, well, to prepare the dough for the tortillas, we're gonna pour 1 cup of pre-cooked white cornmeal into a big bowl. Add a cup of water as well, and a pinch of salt. And start mixing all the ingredients together. Now, you're gonna be mixing between 3 to 5 minutes until the dough does not stick to your hands anymore.
All right, fellow riders, the moment of truth has finally arrived. We can finally start cooking this delectable dish. As you can see, I'm starting off here with a little bit of olive oil. Yes, of course, the cork did pop into the pan for a moment, but do not worry, it was not too hot. No damage was done. We're gonna be cooking this over medium heat today. We are going to add our onion mixture into the pan. We're gonna let that cook for anywhere from, I would say, 5 to 7 minutes. Really, what you're looking for is for it to start to get a little bit golden, a little bit melted. Of course, do not forget to continue to mix your vegetables, fellow riders. You do not want them to burn. Now, as that onion heats up, Ransu is gonna go ahead and she is going to start working on the tortillas. Here, she's gonna be making a little ball out of what she mixed up before. She's gonna flatten it out a little bit, and then she's going to be putting it into our very fine cast iron tortilla press. This is done between a couple of sheets of something similar to a wax paper. Now, the next step is to go ahead and pull that cast iron kind of handle down, flatten it out a little bit. You can flip your tortilla over, and then you can go ahead and pull the iron back down on it again, and you can get it very, very flat. And now we're gonna open the tortilla press. We're gonna pull that wax paper up on one side, and there we go. The tortilla goes into the pan. Now, this is gonna be going into a dry pan. You do not need to put any oil in as long as you're using a non-stick skillet. And now the moment of truth has arrived. Let's move on and put those delicious looking green and red peppers into the dish. And we will cook those for about 5 minutes today. And now, riders, the real fun begins. We are going to start adding all that wonderful seasoning and flavoring that's going to make this delicious. I'm going to start off with a little bit of salt. I'm adding a few pinches here. You can really do this as you would like. It's very much up to your individual taste buds. And again, for some reason, Ransu thinks that is very funny, but that is okay because she is a funny girl indeed. Mix, mix, mix. And I think it's time to add a little bit more spice. A little bit of black pepper. And next thing that we're going to do is add a little bit of oregano. Very, very important ingredient in Mexican dishes. And we are very lucky because Ransu has wonderful oregano that she gets from a village that she grew up spending time in. Oh yes, look at that smile. Ransu does love the village indeed. Now, next we will be adding in the cumin. I'm going to be adding here about 2 spoons. But again, do it to taste however you like it. Okay, riders, next we're going to add a little bit of extra spice to it. This is chili chipotle powder. I like this very much. It will add quite a bit of heat depending on how much you add. I'm only adding in a few sprinkles because I don't want to overdo it here today. Next, I'm going to pop the lid off the Pimiento, also known as Paprika. It's a very popular ingredient here in Spain, and we are going to be adding just about a spoon of this. And now, my dear, dear fellow riders, my favorite ingredient in this dish. These are the whole chili chipotles. These things are delectable. I will be adding 2 to this dish here today, but if you like a lot of spice, you can go ahead and add more. I'm also including a little bit of the salsa. Of course, as you can see, fellow riders, it does look like I'm talking to somebody off screen, so I think this is an excellent moment to thank our dear friend Maria, who was very helpful in making this video. And now we are going to give these vegetables one more mix before we add the chorizo. Now, as you can see here, I am taking the chorizo out of its casing. You can do that. You could actually just cook the chorizo whole as well, but I think mixing it all together with the vegetables, it just flavors the whole dish very nicely. And now, riders, time for a close-up. Oh, look at those flavors, how they go together. They are just looking delicious. They're smelling delicious. And oh, those tortillas. Oh, I cannot wait to eat them. And as I mix these ingredients one more time, riders, the next thing I will be doing is adding in those fresh tomatoes that we cut earlier. And finally, to top off this part of the cooking process, we're gonna mix that fresh cilantro in, and that will be it for this part of the dish. And now, with one final mix of this dish, we are gonna go ahead and we're gonna pour it into our storage container, and we can set it off to the side until we are ready to assemble this whole dish. I will next be going in to add the black beans into a new dish, and we will heat those up. Now, we will also be adding some lime zest. Of course, we'll be adding the juice to it as well. That will go in with the black beans. The corn is coming as well. And slam dunk, the corn goes in with the black beans, and in goes the lime juice. Oh, you're just wonderful. You can smell the flavor already cooking and melding together, and it's just delectable. And fellow riders, the time has finally come to cook the star of the dish, the huevos. Because you can't have Huevos Rancheros without the huevos. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna crack the egg into the pan. You can cook your eggs however you like. I like them over easy in this dish. Some people prefer them sunny side up. You do it however you please. And we're gonna give the black bean and corn a little mix. And then we will head back over to those eggs. We will add a pinch of salt. We will add a sprinkling of pepper. It's finally time to give these eggs a flip. We're gonna give them a little jimmy around the sides. We're gonna take our spatula, we're gonna slide underneath, and oh! Did not quite hit a home run on that one today, fellow riders, but don't you worry, we straightened it out. And these eggs, I am sure they will still be delicious. And riders, the moment we have all been waiting for is finally here. It is time to plate this bad boy. First, we're gonna start off with one of those fine tortillas from Aranzu. Then we're gonna add the egg on top of it. Look how nice it actually turned out in the end. Not so bad, right? Then we're gonna add our wonderful mixture of vegetables. We will then add a little bit of the black bean and the corn lime mixture around the sides. And finally, to top it all off, we are gonna add a little bit of creme fraiche right on top. And the final ingredients to top this bad boy off are a sprig of cilantro from Aranzu and some jalapenos on top. Wow, just look at that, fellow riders. Have you ever seen a dish so delectable? All right, fellow riders, I think the moment has finally come. What should we be doing here, Aranzu?
Eat it!
It's time to eat it. That is delectable. I can hardly stop myself from eating it.
Delicious.
The flavors are wonderfully complex. It's somehow spicy and decadent and salty and has a special tang to it. Oh, riders, you gotta make this dish at home. It is divine. Well, fellow riders, thank you so much for being here with us on this very first, very special episode of
Rock and Brunch.
Rock and Brunch. We hope that you join us for future episodes. We have many ideas for many other dishes that we want to make with all of you fellow riders out there. If you can like this video, if you can comment on this video, if you can share it with your friends, and very importantly, if you can hit that subscribe button right below. What that subscribe button, what it really means is ride with us, fellow riders, because this is a journey and we want to ride it with all of you. Thanks so much, fellow riders. We will see you soon.